Hey there, Dr. Mike Ferguson here with Kid Care America, the mentoring after-school programs for the faith community. I want to take a little time to show you a little bit about what takes place at an after-school program, to give you some of the components, some of the aspects of a Kid Care America model after-school program. And so we're going to do that with this webcast and some PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and dive right in. These components are fully explained in the After-School Director's Training Manual, which you can order. To find out how you can order that, there is a link right above this post on this page that says the After-School Program Kit. And so everything that you need for starting an after-school program, including all of the forms, all of the curriculum, are available to you. This is something that my wife and I started in the latter part of the 1980s in the inner city of New York, and have ran that program for 12, 13 years, and then we moved to the Midwest to start a national program that enables churches to do after-school programming. And so what you have in front of you really is about 25 years of after-school ministry. And so we want to just share that with you. And so let's go ahead and jump into the after-school program components and some of the things that you will see. Now, it doesn't mean that every after-school program has all of these components, but these are all potentially things you can have in your after-school program. And so they can include these items, these pieces of the program, which are part of your day, basically. And just to let you know that we started our after-school program in the latter part of the 80s with just a handful of kids, serving them a snack and doing a homework help. And really, that's how we started. And then our program grew and grew and grew and grew. And we found that the public school systems of New York City, at least in our neighborhood, began to look to us for help. And so you don't have to start with a full-blown 5-day-a-week program. You can start with just 1 or 2 days a week with some of these components that we're going to show you. So let's look at some of the programs. The first one is what we call Snack Interact, and I'll explain that in a few moments. The other is what's called Homework Help. The other are workshops, and the workshops are made up of Bible 101, craft, read aloud, life skills, vocational education, Project Serve, which is in of itself a service learning project, and storytelling. So those are the things that make up the workshop, and you can mix and match all of those according to your particular program. Some of the other things that take place and can include are recreation, and we'll talk more about that, tutor time, then the end of the day ends with a huddle, and then we have the dismissal. So let's talk a little bit about what Snack Interact is all about. And there are intentionality about this entire program, so that you know that every component that you're about ready to see, there is an intentional reason why it is that we are using this in the after-school programs that are Kid Care America. Your program doesn't have to be a Kid Care America program. It can be whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it by its name, but can have these components. And the Snack Interact really is about the adults and the mentors sitting in small groups of no more than 5 or so that there can be a close time of relationship and fellowship. So imagine it is, say, 3 o'clock, 3:15. The students come in, and we all know students come in from school and they are just famished. They are starving. And so what happens is the snack coordinator sets up the tables with the snacks, and those tables have 4 to 5, 6 chairs with an adult, and those groups come and sit around that table and talk about that day. The mentor leads those groups in a discussion about their day for about 15 minutes. And really what we're trying to do is we're trying to have this snack time be viewed as a time of bonding. And really what we're doing is we're replicating the dinner table that families used to have years and years ago. Back when I was being raised as a child, we had dinner at the table at 5 o'clock, and we all sat together, talked about the day, talked about family activities. And a lot of times families don't have that option today. And so at the after school program with Snack Interact, we are literally replicating the old dinner table time. And so it is really geared for a mentor with about 5 or 6 students who are just visiting, talking, relating to each other, bonding to each other. That mentor's affirming, helping, giving counsel, giving advice. So that's why we call it Snack Interact. It's more than just a snack time. And so homework help is the next component, and homework help basically is what it is. So it's exactly what the title describes. This is the portion of the after-school program when the student gets their homework done. And as I mentioned to you earlier, in the early part of our after-school program in the inner city, we had Snack Interact and we had homework, and that's all we had at the time. That's all the personnel that we had. That's all of the people that we had. And so we started somewhere. So it's always better to start someplace than to not start at all. And so homework help is exactly that. It's a time when you want those students to come to the after-school program to get their homework done, and parents really like for their students to come home with their homework finished. And so that's what homework time is really all about. And in the after school forms kit, which you can order with the after school director's training manual, we have a homework planner template that our students used to be able to make sure that they had the homework that they needed for that day. They would write down that homework in that homework planner. The teacher would sign it, the parent would sign it, and then also those who are working with the student at the after-school program. So we had a lot of accountability for our students to get their homework done. So it was a great way to ensure the students were getting their homework completed and getting it finished. But you can find that in the after-school forms kit, which basically is not a PDF file, but a DOCX file, a docs file, so that you can change portions of the forms to match your program. So it's something that you're able to customize basically. So we have the Snack Interact, we have the homework help, and then following the homework help, we have workshops, or what we'd also call growth groups. And those growth groups are Bible 101, and that's where the students learn a Bible lesson experientially. It's active learning, so it's not just hearing someone tell them about a Bible story. So that's what takes place. And this is all explained in the After School Director's Training Manual and also in the curriculum, if you would like to purchase that as well. The Read Aloud takes place where the students are read to, and we know that research tells us that students who are read to have greater reading outcomes than those who do not. And life skills, students are taught cooking, cleaning. They're taught how to manage themselves in a restaurant, how to take care of themselves and have the life skills that they need in order to be successful. Crafts are a portion of the growth groups or the workshops. Vocational education, and this is where you would have someone who comes in and actually talks about their vocation and talks about what they do for a living. You might have a banker come in and tell the students, here's what I do as a banker. You might have an insurance agent come in and say, here's what I do. Here's how I help people in this way. And so vocational education is one of those. And then storytelling is always a great time at the center, because you have someone come in and they tell a story about their life. And I don't know about you, but when someone begins to tell a story, my attention begins to get very, very piqued, and I begin to listen to that person as they begin to storytell. So those are the workshops and the growth groups that take place. The next part is recreation, and these are non-sports related recreation games. And these are games that are in the curriculum. You have one for each day of the week if you have a 5-day-a-week center. And the reason they're non-sports related is because there are some students who just are not good at basketball or baseball or football. And so it's better not to put them in a situation where they're going to be failures. So we want them to be successful. So the recreation are non-sports related recreation, and there's a reason for that. Project Serve is a service learning ministry of the program where the students actually develop a way to solve a problem in their community. And you'll be seeing a Project Serve manual a little bit later on the website that'll give you more directions on how to actually do a Project Serve. You can actually take this Project Serve manual that is being developed and have it just be a part of your youth group, part of your children's ministry, but there's a portion of the after-school program that is Project Serve. That's where the students become part of the solution and not to the problem. For instance, and there's a whole process, but we had one center that went through and brainstormed, designed, developed the entire Project Serve, and it was about painting some fences in their community, and the community was just completely surprised that the students were at all interested in this. And so service learning is a major part of the after-school program, and so that's one of the components. The other is tutor time, and usually we do tutor time in after-school programs towards the end of the day. We found so many people who would come from work. We would have tutor time, say at 5:15. So people would come from their job straight to the after-school program, and they would spend 50 minutes with a student tutoring them in areas of academic weakness, and that would help the student to improve. And we had a lot of tutors who were very willing to give 1 hour of their week to come from work right to the center to help a student. And it was amazing what happened. The students' grades went up, their behavior went up because they stopped acting out because they couldn't perform a particular part of the academic piece of their work. And so tutor time is a part of that, which is the end of the day. And we end the day with a huddle, and that's where everyone gets back together, and we have memory verse games, we have singing, we have worship, we have prayer, but it's the last 10 minutes of everyone getting together to leave on a very positive note, and that's when the mother comes and picks them up. And so these are the other pieces of the puzzle. And so we want to continue on with this, and for some reason we're not moving that direction. So let me continue to go down through here, get to our next slide, which I want to show you, which would actually be our schedule. So let me show you this. This is our after-school schedule. Now, if you notice at this schedule, there is a 5-day-a-week schedule. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, not every center and not every church is going to be able to do a 5-day-a-week center. But if you notice, I've put together this 5-day-a-week center so that you can see how all the components fit together. And it takes place pretty much the same time every day. Now, your times may change. You may have a 2 o'clock start. You may have a 4 o'clock start. So some of this is just a sample. But if you notice, the staff and the volunteers arrive about 30 minutes before the actual program day begins, so they can set up their different components of the program, of the components of the day, and then they get together for prayer. This is when the staff and the volunteers just have an intercessory prayer time for the day, for the students, for the staff, for whatever's going on. that particular time. Then the students come in and they sign in, and there is a lot of information in the after-school training manual that shows you about the sign-in. And then the snack interact time starts. And that's for about 15 minutes. And then homework takes place for about 45 minutes. And then if you notice, the growth groups or the workshops start. So on Monday, you would have Bible 101. On Tuesday, Read Aloud. On Wednesday, Life Skills. On Thursday, Crafts. On Friday, Vocational Ed. And maybe one of those days you want to have, instead of crafts, have story time. So there's a host of ways to do that. Then you have recreation. Get the students up and moving. Tutor time, as I mentioned, at the end of the day, and then 5:50 brings the program to a close, and then there is the dismissal. Now, that's a 5-day-a-week program, and you can certainly have one, but we don't encourage programs to start 5 days a week every day during the week. We encourage them to start small and grow. And so that's why what you see here now is a 3-day-a-week program. For us, we started a 3-day-a-week program and ran that for quite a long time. And if you notice, all the components are fairly the same, for the exception of the growth groups at 4:15. We have Bible 101, Read Aloud, and Life Skills. Now, the only thing we encourage our centers not to do is to not change the Bible 101. Keep that at the beginning of the week. That sets the tone for the rest of the week. But you can certainly play with Life Skills. You could have Vocational Ed that week. You could have crafts instead of Read Aloud. So there's many ways in which to do that. Then you have recreation, then you have tutoring, huddle, dismissal, and that's a 3-day-a-week program. So there's no reason why you couldn't have a 3-day-a-week program. Now, here's also another option, and that is a 2-day-a-week program. And everything remains the same, for the exception, if you notice, we still have Bible Club, which starts the week off, and then we have Read Aloud and Life Skills. And so there's many ways in which to configure the after-school program to make it work for you and your ministry. And so this is a great view of how all of these after-school program components work. And so let me encourage you, and answer the question, how do you get started? Well, the first thing you need to do is order the After-School Director's Training Manual with the After-School Forms Kit. I would encourage you to do that. Now, you can order the After-School Director's Training Manual on its own, but you would miss all the forms. And so you would receive the After-School Director's Training Manual as a PDF, but the After-School Forms Kit comes in a Word document so that you can make changes to all of the forms. And we'll have another discussion about what are in the forms on another webcast. So that's really the best place to get started, is to just invest in that After-School Director's Training Manual, the Forms Kit with that, or you could go ahead and order the entire program, which is the After-School Director's Training Manual with the After-School Forms Kit, and get the 18 months of after-school curriculum, which we'll have another webcast to show you more about how that works. But this gives you a really good view of how to go about putting together a program. And as you notice, it's not that difficult. And you can start like we started. Just start with a snack interact, and then homework, and then let the program begin to grow. Let the momentum begin to grow, and God can do incredible things during the most at-risk time of the day for students in America. So we want to encourage you to order the After-School Director's Training Manual and the Forms Kit and get started opening an after-school program. God bless you.